I plant garlic from the grocery store in our garden. It's usually reasonably priced and almost always available. The first thing I do is separate all of the individual cloves from the garlic bulb, and that usually doesn't take very long at all. And once that's finished, you're ready to plant some garlic. I start by stretching some string or twine between two plastic tent pegs, just to help me keep the row a little bit straighter. Then I loosen the soil to a depth of about 2 inches, and each clove will have a blunt end and a pointed end. And the blunt end goes down. That's the part that will form the roots, and the green part will grow out of the sharp or pointed end. I like to plant my garlic about 6 or 7 inches apart, and I just measure that with the span of my hand. Then it's just a matter of repeating that process until you have a full row of garlic planted, or however much you want to plant. When picking a spot to plant your garlic, just make sure you pick a spot that has rich soil that's well drained. We're in zone 6B, and in our area I like to plant our garlic in the second week of October. That usually gives it time to sprout and grow 2 or 3 inches before the really cold weather hits. You can either plant garlic in a single row or in a double row like I have here. When planting in a double row, I just space the rows about 12 inches apart. As you can see, sometimes when there's a mild fall, the garlic can grow quite a bit, but that usually doesn't hurt a thing. This garlic had been exposed to temperatures below 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and as you can see, it's still green. Once spring arrives, the garlic starts growing again, and that's when I give it a little side dressing of high nitrogen fertilizer. As the garlic plants mature, some of them will try to flower, and that central stem with the flower bud on it is called a scape, and the scapes are edible if they're picked young when they're tender. I think the scapes go great in a stir fry. Around here, the garlic is usually ready to harvest about the second week of June. When they're ready to harvest, some of the outer leaves will turn brown and start to die. If you've got good loose soil, harvesting is as simple as pulling them out of the ground. Here's some freshly harvested garlic from our garden, and as you can see, the soil is still on it. Most experts will tell you to brush off or shake off any loose soil and leave the rest on during the curing process. But since this is my garden and my garlic, I get to treat them the way I want to. If you do want to wash your garlic off like I do it immediately after they're harvested and not later on. Here's a look at some of our better bulbs after I rinsed them off. And at this point I remove any loose skin that might be still attached. And I also leave the stalks attached to the bulbs throughout the curing process. I was really impressed by the healthy roots on these plants. I usually put ours on top of our pump house for a very short time to drip dry. It's important to limit their exposure to sunshine because that can affect taste. Next, I place them on cardboard spread out so they're not piled on top of each other, and I put them in full shade. I have them in partial shade just for the purpose of this video so we can see a little better. Having good air circulation is also important. I leave them outdoors in full shade for about 2 weeks. Then I hang them out in a shed near our garden for another 1 or 2 weeks, and after that time they're fully cured and ready to use. One of our favorite ways to use garlic is in our tomato, basil, and cucumber salad. I did a video on that recipe. If you want to check that out, I'll put a link down in the description. Before you go, let us know how your garden's doing, and if you're just now finding this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We'll see you next time.